Alright, we got another one of these videos because I'm going to Texas tomorrow and probably won't have time to make a video. So we got a little bit of some updates, some news stories. I think we're going to be focusing mostly on one story, but a quick update to the story that I talked about on Wednesday with the woman and the Jaguar, and I said, hey, at least she went and apologized to the zoo. Actually, after I filmed that video yesterday, she gave a statement saying that the zoo, and actually, I guess she demands that the zoo should move the big cat's cage and that they should do more to protect their guests from being idiots. And we now have her name because she's chosen to give this interview, so her name is Leanne, or at least she's identifying herself as Leanne. Says that the Jaguar cage should be moved back to prevent further incidents, even though, obviously, multiple health code type things would need to be addressed in these kind of situations to make sure it's safe for people to be in these areas. And literally the only reason why it happened was because she literally went over the barrier. Like, the stuff is in there for your protection. It's not just there to look pretty, it's to stop people from doing stupid things. But apparently that is not good enough for Leanne. So even though it seems pretty stupid and that the average person would realize that you don't start going over barriers or leaning over barriers, moving yourself closer to the wild animal that you could clearly see is up against the cage, the zoo is actually going to re-examine the barrier with an outside consultant, and hey, maybe they will move it back, but doesn't change the fact that this was stupid, and if it was that much of an issue, and it was that much of a security issue, more people would do this, and it would happen to people a lot more often. So you made a stupid mistake, stop getting mad at the zoo, and if they do end up moving the barrier back, don't think that it's because you were in the right and that it was too close. No, it's just for safe measures because, wow, they did not realize how stupid people could get. Also, I'm wearing this very nice Hitch a Ride hoodie. I'm trying to channel the summer that is not currently outside. I'm being blinded by the reflective light of snow. Next up that happened is that George Pell, who is a very high-ranked cardinal in the Australian Catholic Church, allegedly in what is considered to be like a third-place position, a treasurer, did in fact get sentenced to, I believe, 3 years in prison and 3 years probation. 6 years in prison, possibility of parole after 3 years. And a lot of people are really pissed off that it wasn't for more, but at least something is happening to this disgusting man, and I would just like to bring everybody's attention back to a story that came out 14 days ago when his lawyer said the child abuse was just plain vanilla sex, where the child is not participating. I don't know if you know this, but that's the definition of rape and pedophilia. It's double whammy. So this all came to light from the account of a former choir boy who said that he and his friend got caught drinking wine out of the communion, and Pell found them and then forced them to engage in sex acts, specifically despite their sobs and pleas for him to let them go. Now, unfortunately, the second victim is now dead due to a heroin overdose that is directly related to these events, according to his father. He basically said that after the events, his son went from being a very talented singer, very passionate, young individual, played a lot of sports, was actually on a singing scholarship, but not long after the assault was when his life kind of started spiraling down. He got kicked out of the choir, lost his scholarship, and started injecting heroin. And his father now says it was basically all just the result of trying to mask the pain that he had dealt with from the attack. And stuff like this really, really disgusts me, and it's just every couple weeks we're getting a news story where somebody's actually being held accountable for their actions, and it's not soon enough. And I realize that anywheres where there is a high number of adults around children without much outside supervision in places in position of power, you're going to see this happen. You know, it's largely in the Catholic Church just because of the way they operate, but this is definitely something that's going to be happening in other churches. There are accounts of it happening in other churches. It's going to happen at daycares. It's going to happen with sports coaches. It can happen anywhere, and it's absolutely, truly disgusting and vile, but I don't think that there is anything as grossly overwhelming as what people have discovered about the Catholic Church. So any amount of time is good time for me. I would like to see this person go down longer. 3 years might not seem like a lot, but it is certainly better than nothing, and it will start setting the precedent going forward. And lastly, there was this story that the first place I saw it kind of presented it as a joke, so I thought it was kind of funny, but then I went to like an actual news source and started looking it up, a couple different news sources, and it's a little bit more concerning and tragic than that. But basically, headline is a YouTube user allegedly threatens Google on the belief that it shut down his YouTube channel, but it was actually his wife that shut down the channel. So it sounds so ridiculous. Some guy from Maine literally started driving all the way down to the Google headquarters in California to have a conversation as to why his YouTube channel was shut down. You know, logical people would probably send off a couple of emails first. Other people would probably realize that if your channel got terminated, YouTube would send you an email about it. But I guess the 33-year-old Kyle Long was in a rough enough shape that he actually decided he was going to drive down to California to deal with this in person. So I guess he first kind of hit police radar in Iowa, where his car was like, he accidentally crashed his car into a ditch, and they were holding him on the suspicion that he was somebody who vandalized a bathroom at a gas station. Now, they didn't hold him on that because the gas station decided they didn't want to press any charges, but it was enough, there was enough concern there that they actually called back to Maine and managed to talk to his father. So even though they called back home, they let him go, and he was ultimately arrested in Santa Clara, California, under suspicion of making criminal threats with the presumed belief that he might try to settle something violently. So he was actually being held on a $25,000 bail, but we've kind of found some stuff out from the dad that make it seem a little bit more concerning. I guess Long has had a long-standing history of mental health issues, and he ended up uploading a video trying to explain people how to get rich quick and up their numbers on YouTube, something that like a lot of people do on YouTube, but I guess his was just nonsensical, all over the place, just absolutely crazy. And honestly, I think it's pretty obvious that he had some mental health issues because he actually told the police, the state police in Iowa, that he was mad at Google for shutting down his YouTube channel, and that's why he was driving down that way. So I think it's pretty obvious that the dude was not 100% at that time. But the officer said it wasn't quite enough to hold him, but just enough to actually call back, like I mentioned before. And that's when they found out that it was actually his wife that removed the video because she, like the father, realized that the whole thing was crazy. It didn't make any sense. It was concerning. And as per his father, Kevin Long, he showed it to me and it was the most bizarre thing. It wasn't reality. Now, I guess Kyle had been dealing with issues stemming from a manslaughter conviction in which he drove a car into a utility pole, which killed his classmate who was a passenger. And he served 5 years for that, and once he got out of prison, I guess he stopped taking his psychotropic medications, and it all just kind of convalesced into this moment. And just the knowledge of knowing that a friend died and that it was your fault just obviously got a little bit heavy on him. So I guess the main reason why he was arrested with like the idea of violence or a violent threat was because he did have 3 baseball bats in the vehicle with him, but no other weapons, like no guns or anything like that. But just based on the conversations with the father and just the nature of the video itself, where he and his wife both say that the contents of it were just absolutely insane. It was like this weird get rich quick scheme that just didn't actually make any kind of sense. Obviously the video is not on YouTube right now because the channel's been removed, but according to both of them, the whole thing was nonsensical, and hopefully he'll be released and can actually get some help and he'll actually accept some help. I know his dad said that he hopes the latest arrest will actually lead his son to actually getting some psychiatric help, but it's kind of hard when people don't want to help themselves. There's not always something that you can do. But yeah, so that's what I mean. When I first saw that, the headline was just like, man drives to Google headquarters to yell at them for deleting his channel, was wife all along. It sounds ridiculous, but it's actually like, it's kind of like a little bit of a heartbreaking story. This guy is clearly not mentally well, and this could have ended a hell of a lot worse if he had not been so careless on his trip. And I think that's just about gonna do it, but I guess maybe just to ruin your days one step more, I don't know if you guys remember the story about this guy that would dress up as Spider-Man to clean windows in a children's hospital. Just got arrested for raping children. I just need something wholesome in this world, man. I just need one wholesome thing. But anyways, that is gonna do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe, and all that jazz. It helps more than you know. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters. A reminder, I know I said at the beginning of the video, but I'm currently in Texas, so if there's any kind of like big stories brewing, I don't know if I'll have time to cover certain things, but we'll see what we can do. Otherwise, I do have regular scheduled uploads to get us through most of the time that I'm gone. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic day, actually the entire time I'm gone, and we'll catch you all later.